Number 10. Playing sports with himself. So the Flash will sometimes use his abilities to entertain others. And well, sometimes that can get a little silly. So in the story The Flash of Two Worlds from 1961, the Flash ends up visiting Earth 2, and he meets the Golden Age Flash. This is after he vibrates his molecules in a way that he has never done before, hence introducing the world to the concept of the multiverse in comics, something that would change everything. That's all legit. What we're here to talk about is how at an orphan's benefit at the start of the story, before he vanishes, he entertains an auditorium full of kids by playing tennis with himself. Now, of course the Flash could do this, but how entertaining for the kids would it be? Wouldn't he be moving too fast to really see? It would be like that race from the boys, just over in a blip. But you're just glad to be there, cause the Flash, hooray. Number 9. The Flash can change his appearance. So this is an ability that the Flash used in the Silver Age, so we're talking about Barry Allen, as he is the Silver Age Flash. He used to be able to reshape his molecules, cause super speed. And he would even be able to reshape and mold his face like putty, which was a very useful ability, but one that kinda takes him outside his whole speed gimmick. Fastest man alive, also able to move his face. A hero who can look like anyone to infiltrate areas is a much different vibe than someone who's just super fast. Also, that type of ability tends to be more applied to villains, since it is more clandestine, and that can more easily be used for villainy. Superman was also able to do this at one point, but only on a rare occurrence. The Silver Age was like this though. The idea of extended continuity that included everything, so you would have to, branch them all together, well, that was coming and still being developed. So you would have a bunch of one-shot powers that happen once and never again. Number 8. Throwing lightning. So the Flash, Barry Allen, and Wally West initially got their powers by being struck by lightning and covered in chemicals. Take that, Jay Garrick and Hard Water. Lightning has always been a part of the Flash's motif though, down to his very costume. And later, as more and more of the Speed Force was revealed, a lot of it would manifest in a way very similar to lightning, or just as lightning. So it was that Wally 2, Wallace West, the Wally of the New 52 and beyond, when they erased first Wally because Dan Didio hates him, he would be able to harness that energy of the Speed Force and push it out through his hands as lightning. Now, this was a more controversial ability, because it's essentially energy powers, and again, that's a bit outside the wheelhouse of being the fastest. I mean, you're already fast, and you get to throw energy to boot on top of all of that? That's a lot. For some, it was too much. Also, for some, anything Wallace did was too much. Poor Wally too. He's okay. His introduction to the DC universe was rough. Who greenlit that? But so is a lot of the New 52. Number 7. Fast talker. The Flash, if he forgets, will talk at the same pace he thinks, which is incredibly fast. In fact, he can talk at a speed so fast he can only be understood by other speedsters. Now, the fast talking is a cute character trait, and it makes sense. But it also raises a very depressing conundrum, the likes of which is explored by songs such as The Ballad of Barry Allen. And that is the Flash okay? The Flash is such a happy, well-adjusted hero, but this ability really makes you think, how slow must everybody else seem to him? How does he stand it without snapping? And how does he form meaningful connections when he could have finished a whole conversation while you're just finishing a sentence? It also feels like he would constantly have to be thinking about this. You would think he would forget this more often. Then you start to think, should he come across as more jittery? Cause even a slight movement from him would come across like a really quick jerk to somebody else. Just us regular slow folks. See, it's opened up a whole other world and it's kinda sad. Number 6. Mimicking voices. Staying on the path of voices, the Flash can vibrate his vocal cords to the point where he can sound like absolutely anybody. Now this would be an extremely useful ability, and it's one that if you extrapolate, yeah, it makes sense I guess. However, why wouldn't he use this all the time? It would be an advantage in so many situations, confuse enemies and allies alike. And that's the thing. It's too good. This ability, like some of the others, is a huge advantage, and also a little more on the villainous side of things. Still, this is an ability I would actually like to see more of, and I'm not averse to a darker Barry. It's just hilarious when Grant Gustin tries to do it. Floppy emo hair. Number 5. Expert folder. Okay, this is never overtly stated, but think about it. For years, the Flash has kept his costume inside a ring and then shoots it out and changes into it at super speed. This is when he needs it, but how does he get it back inside the ring? Because he does. And this usually joke, oh, he can. But you know what? No. Super folder. Super speed expert folder. They say that the costume is sucked back into the ring by special gas when the ring is opened. Okay. Sure, Jan. Just admit it, he folds it super fast where no one can see. He just has a really impractical method of storing it. You're the Flash, you could just keep it anywhere and run and change into it and still be back in time to stop whatever crime is happening. We believe in you. Number 4. Speed Scout duplicates. So the Flash can create duplicates of himself that he can send forward and back in time. Sometimes they're duplicates, sometimes they're versions of himself from a few seconds or minutes in the past or future. Either way, it gets weird if you think about it too hard. Communicating with yourself a minute or two from now and then telling yourself what to do, it just seems disconcerting. And how do the timeline effects ripple out? Is this how the universe ends? Barry telling his past self to remember to buy milk so he can have cereal when he gets home? Barry would totally have cereal for dinner. You know it. When you start dealing with time travel and Barry, it can get messy, especially since he doesn't need his fancy treadmill anymore. I miss the cosmic exercise equipment. It still pops up here and there, but they take it far too seriously. Number 3. One punch. So the Flash can use his speed and the Speed Force to amplify a bunch of abilities. So he can also channel this speed and energy into one meta powered punch. A dangerous, potentially life-ending blow that is supposedly guaranteed to end most average villains. Not kill them, just end the fight. Even if they are metas themselves. Sometimes people call this the ultimate punch. And well, it's very much maybe a one-hit KO type deal, or a we need the big guns kind of deal, so it doesn't happen too often. But when it does, it raises the question. So can't he just channel the energy into himself and be all around stronger, kind of on average? See, sometimes a less than stellar power makes you question the character's other abilities. Also, the fact that the Flash isn't the strongest is part of what makes him interesting, because he needs to find other solutions for his extremely strong foes. Number 2. Constructs. Now when you hear the word constructs, your mind may go, oh, Green Lantern. But no, by using the Speed Force, the Flash too can create solid constructs and objects. Objects he can then use. How does he do this? Well, fans are still arguing about it, bandying about terms like speed and light, and if we got them at the right vibrational speed, sure, it could be solid, while others say, why could he be able to do that? That's too much power. Now the Flash phasing through things, legit, but then turning around and making things solid, is it supposed to be because they were intangible? And vibrating them into phase? Maybe. I mean, I guess if we don't get too deep, which is fine. Nobody should be learning their science from the comic book universe. And if media can still tell the world that you only use part of the percentage of your brain, then the Flash can make things solid. That's the deal. Because that's not true. Number 1. Strength Force. This gem comes to us from the Rebirth era of the Flash and introduces us to the concept of the Strength Force. So in the Flash number 53, the Flash is infused with the Strength Force. And then we got to experience really jacked up Hulk Barry in 54. And yeah, it definitely is an experience. There's a bunch of monologuing about how different the Strength Force is. It's different than the Speed Force, it's heavier. He also uses it to talk about how he can't just think his way out of every situation, despite how fast he's able to think. The Strength Force is ludicrous, and they try to make more of it than just roids, because Barry is all, it's more than just muscles, I can control gravity, because he's so dense. Thankfully this is very short-lived, and he shrinks back down to regular Barry Allen. But the Strength Force was definitely deserving of our number 1, because it makes you question everything.
In at number 10, faster than the Flash. For those of you who are unaware, one of Reverse Flash's greatest powers that he leans on when fighting with his nemesis is speed, which seems surprising considering the fact that Barry Allen is arguably still considered the fastest man alive. Due to Thawne creating his own negative version of the Speed Force, it made it possible to tap into powers that most speedsters can't even reach. One of those is superhuman speed, faster than the fastest man alive himself. His ability to move at such great speeds gives him the power of superhuman force as well, meaning a punch to the Flash at Reverse Flash top speed would be devastating. In at number 9, sense alternate realities. In the events that led up to Flashpoint, what seemed at first to be a doppelganger of the Flash turned out to be another version of Barry Allen with the codename Hot Pursuit. The only way we as an audience could have discovered this though was by way of Reverse Flash's power. Reverse Flash has the unique ability of being able to sense whether or not people are from an alternate reality. Sounds a bit pointless, but it actually came in handy. All of the universes in the DCU vibrate at different frequencies, and when New Barry arrived, Reverse Flash could sense this. Eobard knew that Hot Pursuit was from an alternate reality just by feeling that he was vibrating at a different frequency than his own. In at number 8, Age Alteration. Age Alteration, a power that we all wish we could have as we got older, and in the beginning of the Flashpoint series we were able to see this power put on full display. At first Eobard was believed to be gone, but he was actually just disguising himself as a child the whole time. When he realized that the Speed Force is simply made up of time, he could tap into this and use it to his advantage. With this unparalleled knowledge, Eobard could control time and even use it however he pleased. Now he could de-age himself or even steal time from his enemies. In at number 7, the Sonic Snap. In the Flash Rebirth miniseries, Reverse Flash made a comeback in a big way and absolutely terrorized the Flash family while doing it. As we've learned so far, the negative Speed Force comes with all of these different abilities, and some the Flash fam were absolutely not even prepared for. To make matters worse, he got a few pointers from the evil speedster villain Zoom. After being chased by Kid Flash and Max Mercury, Eobard took a moment to stop his assailants in their tracks by simply snapping his fingers. That little snap isn't used often by Reverse Flash, but man, when he did, it knocked the hero into next week. The Sonic Snap is so strong it completely bowls over even the fastest of enemies chasing him. Plus it most likely causes huge ripples in reality itself. In at number 6, change his eye color. This may not be his strongest superpower per se, but Eobard Thawne's ability to change his eye color to red certainly sets him apart from all of the other Flash characters. As a villain, just changing his eyes to that bright red makes everything he says and does that much more menacing. Eobard can do this by concentrating his red lightning and focusing its effects towards his eyes, which gives off that evil look. You gotta admit those red eyes do add a lot to the comic book pages, and even though it's not a physically useful power, it does get the message across that he means business. In at number 5, duplicate himself. We got to see a bit of this superpower on display in the CW's Flash series as well as DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Too slow, Miss Lance. Far too slow.
This power is also referred to as time remnants or temporal duplicates. Due to his meta-human time travel abilities, it's possible for Eobard to rupture time in such a way that he brings forth copies of himself that have been preserved in the Speed Force. Again, a lot of his power comes by way of him being able to tap into that negative Speed Force, unleashing its true potential. These aren't just your regular duplicates though. Reverse Flash can create doppelgangers that can actually communicate with other people. Scary stuff. In at number 4, break protective auras. Going back to the Flash Rebirth miniseries in issue number 4, we saw the Reverse Flash unleash some more surprising powers. The Speed Force provides this powerful aura of protection that keeps them safe from all of the harsh effects that come with moving that fast. What they weren't expecting though was that a villain would come along and just smash right through that. Because the common Speed Force that the Flash family draws from is positive, that meant that Eobard's negative Speed Force was more than capable of a countermeasure. As he's fighting with Garrick, Jay tried to take off only to have Reverse Flash to come up behind him and push him forwards, breaking through his protective aura and severely burning Jay in the process. In at number 3, erase people from existence. All of the Flash family that operate with the Speed Force have the ability to travel through time, but as we saw with Barry Allen and Flashpoint, they experience time travel with a lot more consequences. Again, this goes back to the differences between positive and negative Speed Force. Just because they experience consequences for time travel doesn't necessarily mean it works the opposite way. Eobard's powers are similar, but allow for much more leeway. His version of time travel introduces much more of a chance to manipulate, even being able to eliminate people from existence with no negative repercussions. In fact, the concept of time and reality will just bend to whatever he did to those timelines, meaning he could erase someone from their reality without anyone ever noticing. In at number 2, regeneration. The Flash Volume 5 issue number 23 was a shocking testament to how truly powerful Reverse Flash is. At the start of the comic book, Eobard looked to be nothing more than a pile of bones on an examiner's table, but Barry knew it was all a ruse. Even while looking at his enemy's deceased body, he knew that it was just another one of his tricks. Then before the next page, we saw a little spark of life in the eyes of Eobard. By the end of the issue, he had fully regenerated back to his original state and was waiting for Iris West when she got home with Wally. This means that Reverse Flash is able to repair and regenerate entire cells even if he's been dead for a while. Guy's immortal. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, retrocognition. This power also became a pivotal part of the Reverse Flash's arsenal and was put on display in the Flash Volume 5 issue number 19. It was the power of memory, but not in the sense that we think of having a good memory. After lightning struck his cell at Iron Heights, Thawne suddenly could remember his entire life before the Flashpoint, which also included memories of Thomas Wayne killing him. The more shocking part about this power was that these memories had been erased from his mind following Flashpoint, yet still when he broke out of his cell, everything came flooding back and now he was more ready than ever to take his revenge.
Number 10, death. So the Black Flash first appeared in Flash Volume 2 number 141 back in 1998. This was the first full appearance. He had made a brief appearance a few issues earlier as a cameo. And from the outset people had questions. Did he exist because the Flash and the Speed Force existed, or did he always exist and the Flashes were just tapping into this already pre-existing paranormal meta area? The Black Flash seems to be Death, at least for speedsters, an agent of their demise. It is said he exists because Death is too slow to catch speedsters. It all has a very fanciful, mythical feel to it. This special Grim Reaper just for those being extra fast. Flashes have reported seeing the Black Flash upon near-death experiences. Or Black Flash, I mean, there are a lot of Flashes, but that's still a lot of waiting around. Number 9. Siphoning off the Speed Force. The Black Flash operates inside the realm of the Speed Force, and as a result he can siphon away the Speed Force from other speedsters, making them slower and himself faster. A huge advantage, especially when you're trying to catch up to someone. Scary though, an entity in another dimension messing with your power set. Ominous. It was better when it was just because you got struck by lightning or inhaled some hard water. Classic origins. Do you like how the Speed Force has evolved? Let me know. Number 8. Gifting the Speed Force. Following up along the same vein, it of course makes sense that if the Black Flash can siphon off powers, he can also grant them. It was revealed that he was the one who empowered Wally West's children, you know, when they still existed, before they were erased for the crime of not only being legacy characters, but Wally's kids in particular. He was already a legacy character. However, there was contention when this occurred, as some felt this complicated the function of the Black Flash, and made it veer away from being the embodiment of death. Neil Gaiman in particular was not necessarily here for this change, feeling that the character is the ultimate personification of death. Number 7. Capturing souls. Along that same vein, we have capturing souls, and yes, this is different than being a Reaper and shepherding those into the great beyond. Not the same. It is not the same as harvesting souls. Same building, different department. The Black Flash has at certain points been believed to have captured souls, perhaps as part of its mission, perhaps to augment its power. Either way, it doesn't sound like the best place for your soul to end up. Some people say you'll rest when you're dead. Not if the Black Flash has anything to say about it. Number 6. Immortality. Now, this may seem like a given to some. I mean, if it is the avatar of death, then would it not have to live forever? Otherwise, how could it perform its duties? However, with some entities like this, there are multiple versions of the character taking on the name, passing on the mantle, or possessing different hosts while the idea or entity is immortal, like say the Spectre. But no, the Black Flash is the one and only, although for a while it looked like the Black Flash was Bart Allen. It was a whole arc, albeit a brief one. Sometimes it seems that comics aren't exactly sure what to do with the Black Flash, but they want to use the design because, well, it's very intimidating. Number 5. Maintaining the timeline. The CW took the time to create its own version and lore for the Black Flash. This version was Hunter Zolomon, in this canon from Earth 2. And he had been transformed into the Black Flash by the Wraiths. It was a whole season-long mystery, just who was the Black Flash. And it was quite devastating for Barry when he discovered who it was. Betrayed again. This Black Flash had a different mission statement than just being the embodiment of death. He was instead in charge of maintaining the timeline. So we all know why he was there for Barry. Barry needs to be stopped. He's just playing fast and loose with the timeline, taking it whichever way he can to get what he needs. And while that can result in some big changes, the Black Flash isn't here for it. There is a natural order to things, or there's supposed to be anyway. Barry. Number 4. Erasing people from existence. What maintaining the timeline means is sometimes you need to get your hands a little dirty. When timelines get altered, it means that sometimes there will be people walking around who, if we're going by the whole maintaining integrity philosophy, basically should not be there. So that means that there sometimes needs to be a little bit of finagling to get the timeline back in order. This is why he was hunting down Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, who Barry had brought back into existence with Flashpoint. Thanks a lot, Barry. The goal: erase Thawne, correct the timeline. This of course prompted the Reverse Flash to try and find a way to keep existing, which would send him on a quest for the Spear of Destiny, so that he could alter it and, well, keep existing. He also had to try and erase Savitar. Number 3. Changing reality. This power flows nicely from the last. Of course when you're erasing people, you are changing reality. Even if it's only to maintain the status quo, that still counts as a change, because it was shifted, and then you shifted it back. And sometimes if people are messing with the Black Flash, the changes may not exactly be what it wanted. The Black Flash appears to have been destroyed by Killer Frost. Number 2. Freezing time. So not only can the Black Flash move freely through the time stream, he can also use the Speed Force to freeze time, or at least make it slow down to the point where only those who have super speed can perceive that it is still moving. It's an ability that not many think about, and not one that a character with that much speed really has to deal with too often. That's one of the most terrifying aspects of the idea of the world changing like that. You would never know. And number 1. Enhanced senses. When you think about the Flash, you think about speed and the like, but there is also the deal of sense enhancement. So the idea here is that the super speed also extends to the senses, which allows for an extra level of perception that cannot be achieved by those working at a slower pace. This is how they still see and hear normally even when moving at such a rapid pace. This also means that they can perceive other speedsters moving around them, especially the Black Flash. So imagine how clear the world must look at what is regular speed for us. Poor average turtles.
Number 10. Speed Force Aura. Well, you may know that the Flash can move insanely fast, allowing him to do a wide variety of wacky things. To be honest, what many don't often seem to think about is just how he manages it. After all, traveling at the speeds at which Barry, Wally, or Bart travel at is a sure way to end up on fire in regards to how physics, well, should work. So how come that doesn't happen? It's just imagined away, right? Because it's a comic book? Well, yes and no. While comics don't often address this potential issue, the truth is there is an in-comic reason for how the Flash can manage to go so fast and still stay safe and, you know, not combust. The Speed Force protects those who are connected to it by creating a protective barrier around them. In other words, he's wearing an invisible speed shield at all times, which keeps him safe. You can't see it, but it's there. Number 9. Enhanced Intelligence. Not everything is best treated as a race, and yet for the Flash it's hard to not treat everything that way. This superhero is built for speed, from his toes right up to his brain. That's right, not only can he move fast, but he can also think super fast as well, making him quite the intellect and bringing a new meaning to the term fast thinker. Get it? When truly concentrating, his fast-acting brain can be used to almost give him future vision, allowing him to see multiple possibilities and imagine their outcomes in an instant. With a brain that fast, I've always been surprised that he hasn't quit the Force and tried to become an improviser instead. That'd be really useful if you were an improviser, thinking on your feet like that. Although it is obvious in the comics, based on some of the Flash's choices, that this isn't an ability he always utilizes. If it had been, Flashpoint probably never would have happened. Number 8. Speed Borrowing. Wait a minute, Amanda. Borrowing? Don't you mean stealing? And isn't that a villain ability? Well, yes and no. While Godspeed is a villain based solely around the ability to feed off another speedster's speed, the Flash has also revealed this to be a useful ability for the good guys. Wally West has used this ability before, and this ability doesn't have to harm those he borrows from either. Really, what is happening when the Flash absorbs another being's speed is he's simply taking in any kinetic energy that the target has built up, allowing the Flash's own stores to be overcharged and resulting in an even faster Flash momentarily. I'll just take some of that speed and use it for this. You can build up more speed later. You're fine. Number 7. Phase through objects. The Flash can move through solid material. His speed abilities allow him to vibrate on a molecular level at a high enough rate and with enough control over his body that he can actually slide his molecules in between the space of other atoms. Atoms themselves are mostly thought to be empty space, and this is the fact that this ability is based on. Flash simply slides his atoms in between another object's atoms, phasing through it. The crazy thing is he can transfer his ability to another object. Barry Allen once used his phasing ability to save an entire plane and all of its passengers from a collision. Pretty impressive. Just phase everything. Phase this whole building. Number 6. Packs a punch. What you might be surprised by is how strong the Flash can be. Well, while moving fast, anyways. The Flash himself is not known for strength, but as physics teaches us, a fast-moving object hitting a slow-moving object can create a huge impact, though often it is the object moving fast that will feel it more. Look at something falling at a high velocity down to earth. The ground isn't often the one that gets hurt, right? It's the object crashing into it that gets hurt. Or look at cars that have collided with trees. Most often the car is wrapped around an otherwise unchanged tree, especially if the tree is large and thereby more grounded and less likely to move. So running into a wall is usually not advised when it comes to basic physics. Unless you are the Flash, who can move so fast that he can apparently just run through a wall. In the episode Divided We Fall from the Justice League Unlimited animated series, Wally West's Flash shows us just how strong the Speed Force made him when he gained speed running around the world in order to smash into Lex Luthor and Brainiac, who were merged at the time. Smashing into them at top speed caused the deadly duo to separate, and ultimately ended up in them being defeated. Wally West almost phased away in that Speed Force, but people were like, nah, come back, Wally, come on. Number 5. Fly. Sort of. More like fancy falling, really. Barry Allen can move his body and limbs so fast that he can create what are known as speed vortexes. These can be used to help direct and cushion his landing when falling from up high. And Barry can also use these speed vortexes to push objects. It's basically like a directional tornado. If you want to see him use it for fancy falling, feel free to check out The Flash Volume 4 issue 26, where he uses it after bailing out of an airplane. So wait, does this ability make Flash a low-key airbender? That's what I want to know. Like super low-key. We're not talking Aang levels, but pretty fancy still. Number 4. Lightning bolts. Well, you may think that the artists are just looking for something to symbolize the Flash's speed when they draw him with little crackles of electricity or lightning around him. The truth is, they are likely, well, they're just that, an artistic representation of the Speed Force. You're right. That's all there. However, in CW's The Flash, they translate to so much more and actually become another power that the Flash can harness and use. The Flash has been shown using this ability to revive teammates like a defibrillator, or more commonly to attack enemies with, evoking Zeus as he appears to just hurl lightning at those who would oppose him. This power has recently also appeared in the newest Flash volume, so it's no longer just fancy art, now it's a thing. The newer incarnation of Wally, who later got retconned into being Wallace West, a cousin to the original Wally West, appeared to have lightning powers as well. So ha! Now it is a comic book ability. I tricked you. You were tricked. Number 3. Give life meaning. So the anti-life equation was a big part of DC when Darkseid, who had been searching for it, finally got his hands on the formula in the events of Final Crisis. The storyline saw the anti-life equation, which has the ability to basically zap the meaning out of life, broadcast across all of Earth, effectively enslaving everyone on the planet and depressing the heck out of them. What could possibly break this horrid mathematical spell? Why, a kiss from Barry Allen, of course. I'm not kidding. When the anti-life equation has hold over Iris West, Barry comes in and knocks it out of her with a simple, Speed Force fueled kiss. Because the Speed Force is also pure life energy, ergo the opposite of anti-life. Also, the anti-life equation is terrifying. Can we just talk about that? It's basically depression in math form. Why am I not surprised that it's in math form? Math always makes me depressed. Number 2. Time travel. During Flashpoint, we got to see just how powerful the Flash really is. In this story, Barry Allen goes so fast that he successfully goes back in time in an attempt to save his mother from being killed by the villain Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne. Of course, we don't discover that Barry did this till later, as he wakes up in a completely different timeline where he is depowered as a result and appears to be the only one aware of all that has just changed. Flashpoint also wasn't just the beginning of New 52, but can also be somewhat looked at as the event that was responsible for DC's rebirth as well. Barry Allen's ability to time travel as the Flash is just one of many reasons why the Flash is considered one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe. Real talk. He's the Doctor Who of the DC universe. Number 1. Speed Scouts. Bart Allen's Flash can produce duplicates of himself, that's right. So if you ever wish you could be in multiple places at once, what you could really just be wishing for is just that you were the Flash. These Speed Scouts or duplicates move forwards and backwards through time and are mentally linked to Bart. They are physical manifestations and as such can even interact with objects or people. Once they return, they can report back any findings to the original Bart. The dangerous thing though is because they are so linked to Bart, they can also negatively affect him as well if they are harmed, even sending Bart Allen into a coma when one of his Speed Scouts was destroyed. So as powerful as this ability is, it also comes with some pretty high risks too, which is why you don't see Bart use it that often, that we started using it as impulses. He's been using it for a while. But then he was like, nah, too dangerous, I'm good.